I'll never forget the sight, Karen, the almighty president of our HOA, bursting out of my backyard pool, screaming like a banshee, her entire body glowing cobalt blue. She looked less like the neighborhood queen and more like a smurf who'd lost a fight with a paint factory. The neighbors froze, jaws dropped, phones came out. And all I could do was stand there holding my camera, recording the downfall I had set in motion. But it didn't start with blue dye. No, this nightmare started months before, with a woman who believed the HOA gave her the right to own my life. When I bought my house, my backyard pool was my sanctuary. That rectangle of shimmering blue was more than water and chlorine. It was proof of every overtime shift, every missed vacation, every sacrifice. It was mine, my slice of peace. But paradise doesn't last long in an HOA, not when it's run by a woman like Karen Matthews. Middle-aged, fake tan, clutching her clipboard like it was the nuclear codes. She patrolled the neighborhood with eagle eyes, handing out violations like Halloween candy. And here's the kicker, she didn't even have a pool. The first time I caught her trespassing, it was so absurd I thought I was dreaming. I stepped outside with my coffee one Saturday morning, and there she was floating in my pool with a neon swim cap and a pool noodle humming to herself. When she saw me, she didn't flinch. Didn't apologize. She smiled. "Oh, there you are," she said, like I was intruding. "Just making sure your water chemistry is up to code." My jaw hit the patio. I told her flat out, "This is my pool, private property. Get out." She climbed out slowly like she was doing me a favor, and as she wrapped her towel around her shoulders, she said, "Don't be selfish. Think of the community." Then she strutted off like she was royalty. I should have called the cops right then, but part of me thought maybe it was a one-off. A weird, entitled moment. I was wrong. Days later, I came home to find her lounging on a giant flamingo float, margarita in hand, sunglasses on, drifting across my pool like Cleopatra on the Nile. When I shouted, she didn't even blink. "Relax, Dave," she said. "You barely use this pool. It should benefit the neighborhood." I couldn't believe the audacity. She called me selfish while sipping a cocktail in my backyard. When I forced her out, she leaned in and whispered, "Don't think this is over." And it wasn't. She escalated. I installed cameras, caught her sneaking in like some kind of suburban cat burglar, sipping wine, doing backstrokes, even setting up a lawn chair on my deck. When I confronted her with the footage, she smirked and said, "Could be anyone. Anyone who else wore a neon swim cap and leopard print swimsuit." Logic didn't matter. She didn't care about right or wrong, she cared about control. Then she made it official. At the next HOA meeting, she proposed turning my pool into a community amenity. For harmony, she said, while the board members squirmed in their chairs. I stood up furious. "Absolutely not. That pool is mine. Private property." Karen tilted her head, smiling that fake smile. "Now, Dave, we're simply suggesting occasional use, birthdays, small gatherings." "Birthdays?" I nearly shouted. "What's next? Weddings? HOA pool parties?" Some of the neighbors chuckled, but Karen wasn't joking. Within days, the violation notices started piling up in my mailbox: fence too high, water too blue, pool filter too loud. She even wrote me up for excessive glare from the water. She was weaponizing the HOA against me. And here's where I'll admit it, I started to crack. One night I sat on my porch looking at the pool I'd worked so hard for, and I thought about selling the house, about leaving it all behind just to escape her. Maybe she was right. Maybe I was the selfish one, clinging to something I barely used while the neighborhood sweltered in the heat. The thought haunted me. Am I the bad neighbor here? But then I pictured her lounging on that float, smirking as if she owned me. I remembered her whispering, "Don't think this is over." And something inside me snapped. No, I wasn't wrong. This was my sanctuary, my boundary, and she was trampling all over it. If I kept folding, I'd lose everything. I needed to fight back, not with anger, not with another screaming match, but with something she couldn't spin, with poetic justice. That's when the idea hit me. Back in college, we once dumped colored dye into the campus fountain for homecoming. The water glowed neon green for a week, and everyone talked about it for months. If it humiliated a university dean, maybe it could dethrone an HOA queen. I researched for days, pool-safe, dye, non-toxic, temporary, bright as a billboard. I ordered 50 gallons of cobalt blue. I set up cameras at every angle hidden in plants under the eaves, one obvious on the fence. I staged the yard with a towel she'd left behind a glass next to the float. And I waited. It was a sweltering afternoon when she finally showed. On my monitor I watched her tiptoe through the gate, oversized sunglasses, floppy hat, leopard print cover-up. She dropped her towel on the chair, kicked off her sandals, and dove right in. The water exploded in brilliant cobalt ripples glowing under the sun. At first, nothing seemed different. Then slowly, her skin, her hair, her arms all turned neon blue. She surfaced, gasped, and then shrieked. Her scream tore through the cul-de-sac. She clawed at her arms, staring at her hands like they betrayed her. She stumbled out, dripping cobalt streaks across my patio, yelling, "What did you do to me? This is criminal." But the neighbors had already gathered. Phil froze mid-sprinkle with his garden hose. Kids on bikes skidded to a stop. A couple walking their dog pulled out phones. Laughter spread like wildfire. Cameras clicked. Someone whispered, "Guess the pool really is community property. We're all enjoying the show." I stepped outside, then calm as stone, holding up my phone with the red recording light flashing. "Karen," I said loud enough for everyone to hear, "you're trespassing on my private property again, and I have it all on camera." Her face twisted with rage. "You set me up," she shrieked. I smirked. "No, you set yourself up." The laughter grew louder, drowning her out. She stormed off, leaving cobalt footprints on the sidewalk all the way back to her house. By the next morning, the video was everywhere on the neighborhood Facebook group on 3 different neighbor accounts, each angle showing Karen transforming into a suburban Smurf. The captions were brutal. "Looks like someone's true colors came out." "Smurfette of the HOA." Karen tried damage control, posting a shaky selfie video, hair still faintly blue, accusing me of chemical assault. But no one bought it. Comment after comment called her out. "Girl, you trespassed. You dove in yourself." Her authority was crumbling in real time. The final blow came at the next HOA meeting. Karen stormed in with a folder thick with papers still tinted blue at the hairline, no matter how much makeup she plastered on. She demanded disciplinary action against me, called me dangerous, unfit to live in the neighborhood. But the board wasn't buying it. Greg, the timid treasurer, cleared his throat. "Karen, the footage shows you trespassing multiple times." She barked back. "Irrelevant. I was conducting inspections." The room erupted in laughter. Someone shouted, "With a margarita in your hand." Even the board members chuckled. Finally, Susan, one of the board members, stood up. "Karen, you've overstepped. You abused your authority, trespassed repeatedly, and harassed a homeowner. I move that you be removed as president effective immediately." The vote wasn't even close. Every hand went up. Karen's clipboard lay silent on the table. For the first time since I'd known her, she looked powerless. She gathered her folder head down and stormed out without a word. And that's where it ended. No parades, no celebration. Just the sound of the HOA queen losing her crown, undone by her own arrogance and 50 gallons of bright blue dye. Sometimes the only way to stand your ground is to remind people trespassing has consequences.